looking both inwards and outwards as a way to find balance and harmony. That is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. This topic is another one that's come from some of the discussions that I've had with the group that's going through this course at the moment. Within the course we're focusing on specific Qigong practices, but naturally as well, as part of that, we're also working with all of the little details of our Qigong practice as well. So some of the things we talk about aren't necessarily just to do with the specific practice, they're about more general principles as well. And this is one of those. So the question is quite a simple one, but it led to a little bit more nuanced conversation around what the result of this is. So the question was about whether to have your eyes open or closed while doing a specific Qigong practice. Now, I've talked about this before. There's a whole vlog I've made before about having your eyes open or closed. But as I said, this led to a little bit deeper discussion of the result of working with this. So the general principle is that when we have our eyes open, this sends our awareness and therefore our energy outwards for pretty obvious reasons. Like if we're seeing things, we become aware of that and our attention goes, and naturally our energy goes where our attention is, right? The flip side of that being that when our eyes are closed, we're shutting some of those things out from around us. And this tends to send our awareness inwards, and therefore our energy inwards as well. Now there are exceptions to that, but we won't get into that in this vlog. Just understanding that general principle is enough to understand what we're talking about here. Within our Qigong practice, there are sometimes some practices where specifically we want to have our eyes open. Often that might be because it's something to do with we're specifically working with some energy that relates to our eyes, but other times it's because specifically we're wanting to release or send energy outwards. Other times within Qigong practices, some specific Qigong practices, we may want to have our eyes closed because specifically this helps to send the energy inwards. And often in Qigong practices, you can choose. You can adjust the quality of your practice by, if you want to send your energy more outwards, have them open. If you want to send it more inwards, have them closed. A lot of the time, though, what we try to do is find a balance between both of these things. We actually try to do both of them at the same time. Have an external awareness and an internal awareness. And we do this by having the eyes, you can think of it as gently open. So they're not wide open, they're also not completely closed. They're maybe not quite as wide open as you would normally have, when you're looking at specific things, but just gently open. And also with a soft focus. So we're not focusing on any one specific thing, because if we focus on it, that will generally, send our energy there. We have a soft focus, we have a general awareness of everything around us. And with this soft focus, it then also becomes easier to maintain an internal awareness as well. Now, some of the people on the course, noted what I'm going to talk about next in terms of when we find this balance, we find that it often makes us feel more peaceful, more harmonious, and less reactive. When we're just looking outwards and seeing everything going on around us, our energy will tend to go from one thing to another, and it's very easy to get distracted about all of the things going on around us. The flip side is also true, though, sometimes. If we just look inwards, we can actually get quite distracted by the things that are going on within us as well. And when we find a balance between these, we're able to observe both gently, and we're also able to observe the interaction between each of those as well. Sometimes, and there's two sides to this as well, people can have a tendency to look for all of the solutions to things that might be going on in their life externally. To say, oh, I need to change this, I need to change that, or to blame and think, oh, this is coming from that, this is coming from that. And this makes them very reactive to all the things around them. But the flip side is also true. Sometimes people, there's some nice sayings about like, oh, all the answers are within you and all this sort of thing. It's nice in the sense that it gets you to actually look inwards if you have a habit of always looking outwards. But it's not entirely true. Some of the answers aren't just within you. Um, there's this interplay between internal and external, and it's important to understand that. And so sometimes if we just look internally, we can actually get very distracted by what's going on within us as well. And we think, oh, we don't have context to understand the connection between what's going on inside and outside. We can get quite lost in those internal processes. When we have an awareness of both what's going on externally and internally, we can start to observe that overall interaction between them. We can observe something occurring around us and notice whether it's actually affecting us or not. Yeah, rather than just go, oh, that's happening, I have to do something about it. Go, that's happening. Is it affecting me internally? Maybe not. And therefore we don't need to react. Similarly, we can be aware of what's happening inside us and things going on, and we can observe, it's like, is this really making a difference to how I'm interacting with the world around you? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. And when it's not, that can then actually help us to settle that, to calm that, to recognize that some of those internal reactions aren't helpful. They're not achieving anything, and we can let them pass, let them go. And so we start to find this balance, this harmony, recognizing in a subtle way. It's often not necessarily a conscious thing. We're talking about it consciously now, but simply by finding a balance in our awareness between external and internal, we find a harmony, a balance in our interaction between external and internal. And we actually find we're able to sync those up in a better way, to actually start to have more calmer, more measured responses to what goes on around us, and to navigate our way through that in a more peaceful way. So, obviously I've tried to describe this in this vlog. Some of this can be a little hard to really do justice to in a description with words, but it's a sense that you feel, that you experience. So if you are practicing Qigong right now, I expect a lot of people watching this channel are, you might want to experiment with this a little bit in your practice. Maybe experiment with having your eyes wide open and observing and paying attention to things, and see what that does to your energy while you're doing your Qigong. Maybe also experiment with closing your eyes and seeing how that maybe affects things and how you go inwards. And then also see if you can find that balance of having your eyes gently open with a soft focus, and really dig into what that feels like to you, and how that can really lead to this sense of harmony between your environment, as you start to find the balance between external and internal. They're both really important. If we focus on just one and not the other, we do get out of balance. A lot of the issues, like I said, people say, oh, all the answers are within. Actually, if we just look within, we miss a lot of the answers because we don't have context. We don't understand how that's affecting things in our interaction with life. If we just look outwards, we miss, what's going on within us and how that's impacting things as well. Finding that balance can be a powerful tool for finding harmony and for creating change in your life. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. Maybe it's been interesting. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all those good things. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one soon.